The moment his hand struck her shoulder, the entire hallway seemed to freeze. Laughter from his group died down, chatter between lockers went quiet, and time held its breath. She didn't flinch, she didn't yell. She just looked up, calm, quiet, almost peaceful. What happened next wasn't a punch, a scream, or any kind of revenge, but it broke him. 10 seconds later, the school bully fell silent, and this time, it wasn't because anyone told him to stop, it was because he finally understood who she was, and the weight of his actions crushed him from the inside out. It was just another ordinary morning at Willow Creek High. The bell had rung late, kids shuffled into classrooms still yawning and sipping from half-empty coffee cups. But for Emma Wallace, mornings were something else entirely. She arrived 30 minutes early. Always did. Her books tightly clutched to her chest, eyes cast downward. She sat alone in the last row right beside the window. She didn't talk much. Barely anyone even remembered the sound of her voice. But teachers loved her, sharp, punctual, humble. Students, though, weren't always kind, especially not Ryan Blake, the golden boy of the school, tall, confident, star athlete, always surrounded by a loud, loyal group of followers who laughed at every joke he cracked. No matter how cruel, he wasn't always a bully. But somewhere between sophomore year and senior glory, kindness had disappeared from his vocabulary, and Emma, quiet, kind Emma, had become his favorite target. "Hey, library mouse," he'd taunt, leaning over her shoulder in the hallway. "Looking for your courage in those pages." She'd never reply. Not even a glance, just walked on slowly, as if the weight of the world already rested on her shoulders. Ryan thought it was funny. His friends roared with laughter. To them, she was just background noise in a movie about their lives. But something about Emma's silence was unsettling. One morning, the taunting escalated. Emma had just placed her books in her locker when Ryan came up behind her. "Hey, you deaf or just rude?" he barked. She said nothing. Annoyed, he smacked her books out of her hands. Pages scattered across the hallway floor. Still, she remained silent, calm. His face flushed. Was she ignoring him? Was this some power move? "You think you're better than everyone?" he growled. Then came that moment, the one the whole school would talk about later. He grabbed her shoulder, not hard, but firm enough to make her stop walking. Emma turned, and that's when everything changed. There was no fear in her eyes, no anger, just stillness and pain. Deep, ancient pain that didn't come from Ryan but from something else, something heavier. And then, Emma spoke 8 words. "Do you know what silence hides, Ryan Blake?" His hand dropped. The hallway was frozen. No one had ever heard her voice before, not like this. Calm, strong, sorrowful. Ryan blinked. His friend stepped back. Emma knelt down and began picking up her books, slowly, deliberately, as if her world wasn't collapsing in the same moment. No one helped her. No one moved. But that sentence stayed in Ryan's head all day, and all night. Do you know what silence hides, Ryan Blake? The following week was off. Ryan couldn't focus in class, couldn't sleep, couldn't joke like he used to. Emma's voice, her question, it echoed louder than any crowd he'd played in front of. One afternoon, unable to let it go, Ryan decided to follow her after school. It felt weird, creepy even. But he had this pit in his stomach that wouldn't leave. He trailed behind her quietly, hiding behind parked cars and trees. She wasn't going home. She walked past her neighborhood, past the library, and toward the edge of town, where the old hospice sat, a place most students never visited. Emma walked through its doors like she belonged there. Ryan waited 20 minutes, then curiosity won. He entered. The nurse at the desk smiled. "Back again, Emma," she called down the hall. Ryan froze. Emma had disappeared around the corner. He followed, heart thumping. He turned into a small room and stopped dead. There, lying in a hospital bed, was a girl no older than Emma. Tubes ran from her arms, her skin pale but her smile radiant. "Hey, Emmy," she whispered. Emma smiled back, pulling a chair closer, then began reading from a worn-out book. Her voice, so gentle, so full of love, filled the quiet room. Ryan felt like an intruder. His chest tightened. After 15 minutes, Emma kissed the girl's forehead, packed her book, and turned to leave. That's when she saw him. She didn't scream. She didn't frown. She just nodded. "You followed me?" Ryan's voice cracked. Is that your sister?" Emma stepped out into the hallway, her face calm. "Her name's Lily. She has terminal leukemia. Doctors gave her a year. That was 2 years ago. She's still fighting." Ryan swallowed. He suddenly felt small. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Emma tilted her head, almost amused. You mock what you don't understand. People don't want your pain. They want your silence. There it was again. The weight of her quiet. I never meant to. Ryan started. But you did, she interrupted. Every shove, every insult, every laugh behind my back. I carry that with me into rooms like hers. You see, Ryan, I'm quiet not because I'm weak. I'm quiet because my world is loud enough. Ryan's eyes welled. No joke, no comeback, just shame. I'm sorry, he said, barely above a whisper. Emma gave a small nod. Don't say sorry to me. Say it to every kid you silenced with your voice. Say it to yourself. And then, be better. She turned and walked away. The next day at school, something was different. Ryan sat alone. He returned Emma's books, the ones he knocked down, neatly wrapped in a new leather bag. He left a note inside. Your silence taught me more than all my noise ever did. From that day on, he stopped laughing when others were mocked. He stood up when others were pushed. He spoke not to hurt, but to help. And Emma, she never changed, still quiet, still kind. But now, the silence around her was different. It wasn't empty. It was respected. Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest stories. And those stories, the ones we overlook, mock, or never bother to ask about, have the power to change everything. So the next time you see someone sitting alone, walking silently, or avoiding the spotlight, don't judge their quiet. Respect it. You never know what kind of storm they're surviving.